Well, you know the old saying, right? The first step to recovery is admitting that you have a problem. Right? Like I always say on my channel, where black people, including myself, suffer from mental disorders such as cognitive dissonance, post-traumatic slavery syndrome or disorder, and Stockholm syndrome. Those are the three basic ones that I always talk about and reference on my channel. Right? So I admit I have those problems. I admit I have mental disorders, and including other misdiagnosed mental disorders that I have as well. Right? I admit I have those problems. But there's a plethora of other people classified as black or African American that have mental disorders that don't admit that they have a problem. Right? So if you can't admit you have a problem, there's no way to fix your issue, resolve your issue that you're dealing with. Right? And so George Foreman continues to show why he is an all-time coon. I mean, this is nothing new. His rhetoric about what he talks about in pertaining to black society has always been on undefined light year coon levels, right? And like I always say also on my channel, where black people, they say that black people don't follow a code. Well, there's only one code that black people follow, and that is the coon code. Hashtag coon code. Coon code is basically supporting and upstanding the ideology of white supremacy. Making sure you support, making sure that you protect your slave master. All right. That mentality has been going on for over 500 years, ever since the inception of the transatlantic slave trade in 1505. That's right. So George Foreman, like I said, continues to show why he's an all-time coon and follows the coon code. I'm going to play this particular interview with this from a podcast called Offending America, from these two suspected white supremacists, Jacob Wall and Hunter Avallone. I briefly looked these guys up. They openly support Donald Trump. They are suspected white supremacists, and they do have a podcast that talks about politics and their ideology as far as conservative, right-wing, alt-right, all that kind of ideology. That's what they talk about on their podcast, right? So I'm going to play this interview. They invited George Foreman, again, on a right-wing show to talk about his white supremacist ideology. They briefly interview him and ask questions about Colin Kaepernick and Kevin Durant, et cetera, just pertaining to issues that are affecting sports and entertainment in what's going on today, making headlines. So I'm going to play this clip, family, all the way through, and then I'm going to offer you guys my commentary at the end, all right? So let me play this clip and give you guys my commentary. Here we go.
Right now on the podcast, we've got two-time heavyweight world champion, Olympic gold medalist, and world-class entrepreneur. He sold over 100 million of the famous, you know him, George Foreman grills. George Foreman, nice to have you. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. We just wanted to ask you a couple of questions today. A lot of sports-type news has been making it into the political spectrum as well. And I wanted to lead off by asking you about Colin Kaepernick. I know, you go way back in sports. You were in the Olympics. You wore the USA proudly. What do you think of Kaepernick and, frankly, other athletes that have refused to stand for the national anthem?
The shame part of it, all of us, including Joe Frazier, myself, and a few more, even to this day, we became the heavyweight champ of the world, and we actually thought we would turn into Muhammad Ali. We didn't realize just because you're a champion, you don't become Muhammad Ali. So a lot of us started doing things to get some attention so people would praise us or hate us or talk about us like they did Muhammad Ali. Some of us never got it. Now, the 60s started the trend. Today, there's nothing to say about anyone. And a lot of guys say, look, I got all this money, but nobody knows me. So let me say something like Muhammad Ali, and maybe I'll be different. And that's all that is. And I don't pay much attention to what kids do. The young man who didn't want to stand in the national anthem, a lot of us died in war so that they could have that privilege, really.
Yeah.
God damn.
So what do you think that you know, pundits and fellow athletes would have said if, you know, somebody was doing this sort of thing, you know, when you were boxing?
Well, it wasn't fashionable. You know, we all came in the era, you know, where everything, you know, we were patriotic. I still love the country. The greatest day of my life was when I put on my colors representing the United States in the Olympics, red, white, blue. I stood up with a small American flag because I didn't want anybody to get me mixed up with some other country, from some other country. I love the United States, and I love the flag. But there are a lot of people who haven't found that reason. They don't strive. They haven't been brought up with people who are patriotic to even point them in the right direction. And then some of them are trying to make a point. It's like, look at me, I'm trying to say something. You got to respect that too.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Foreman, first of all, thank you so much for coming on. You know, speaking of people trying to make a point and things like that, Kevin Durant recently said that he's not going to go to the White House if President Trump invites him. What's your opinion on this? Do you think that this is a smart idea?
Can I tell you a quick story?
Absolutely.
I was in 1968. I'd won a gold medal, and then President Nixon, who was a candidate, was making a speech in Madison Square Garden. He said, "Boy, did you see the young man with the flag? He made us proud." And so afterwards, they even recruited me to be on their campaign tour. But Lyndon Johnson was the father of the Job Corps, and I was told if Hubert Humphrey loses the election, they're going to close the Job Corps. So I went to work and campaign, travel all over the world for Hubert Humphrey to win. He lost, and I'm telling you, I was sick. I was invited to the White House twice by Richard Nixon. I didn't go because I figured, you're going to destroy the White House. I mean, you're going to destroy the Job Corps. I can't do that. And now I have all these photographs with all of the presidents previous, and I don't have one with Nixon because I was kind of ignorant. I didn't know the Job Corps is still in existence. I wish I had gone one time to take the photograph with the President of the United States to go along with the rest of them. I have Lyndon Johnson. I have Ronald Reagan. You name them. I'm on a photograph with him, but one I don't have because I thought he was going to close the Job Corps. So a lot of that sore loser goes along in politics. Your guy doesn't win, and you figure something is wrong. I mean, I'm not going to like the guy. I'm against him and everything. But that's all there is. Sore losers. I was one.
Interesting perspective. So you're a world-class entrepreneur, George. You've sold 100 million plus grills last time I checked. Several other businesses. Another person who's an entrepreneur is the president, and I know you and President Trump go back a little bit. Talk about your relationship with President Trump a little bit, just to give everybody an idea.
I knew him as a big promoter. He put on the Big Show, which is still record-wise the top drawing percentage of people available for a pay-per-view. We fought in Atlantic City, Evander Holyfield and myself, and we brought the people in. I was broke too, bankrupt. That put me back. He part of writing those checks so I could become on the wealthy side again. So I'll always be grateful for the entrepreneur, Donald Trump, and now President Donald Trump. I'm sorry, you got to be careful these days.
Yeah. So did you support?
He's a good president. A lot of people don't like him, but evidently more do because he was elected president of the United States.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that a lot of people in this economy are feeling that same boost that you had the privilege of feeling, hopefully under President Trump in terms of the economy. So hopefully we can get the best.
I had little, hardly no hope at all. What a privilege. He promoted that show down there, and I was privileged to get all of the buffets, Plaza, and all those hotels. Oh, it was hard for me to even win the fight because I was so full with food, filled.
Yeah. Awesome. Well.
All right, so you just heard the mind of a coon, who is George Foreman. And this, like I said, this is a guy who suffers from mental disorders, including Stockholm Syndrome, cognitive dissonance, post-traumatic slavery disorder. So he basically shows you why he is a coon. He says that when he was broke, Donald Trump was the person that made him wealthy again. And so because of that, he's forever indebted with Donald Trump in terms of supporting him, his ideology, etc., etc. And that is the thing historically with black people, right? Where your oppressor, someone classified as white, right? Who, in their eyes, gives you a lifeline, whether it's financially, whether it's housing, whatever the case may be. They give you a lifeline to make your position better. That person who's classified as black or African American feels forever indebted to that person. And that involves all 9 areas of activity, like I keep saying: economics, education, entertainment, labor law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Specifically religion. Black people feel forever indebted into their religious ideologies, right? Because, again, like I keep saying, and you guys know, people who follow me for a long time, the Bible has been whitewashed, right? Modern day religion as today has been whitewashed, and everything has been stolen from the walls of ancient Kemet, just from African spiritual systems and the periphery of African spiritual systems. The Yoruba, ancient Kemet, you name it. We know everything has been whitewashed, including the deities such as so-called Jesus, Yeshua, Yahweh, or Serapis Christos, which I like to call him, or Caesar Borgia. So these particular religions have always been a crutch for black people. And so that's why mentally we praise and always see so-called Jesus Christ as white. We praise to a white deity, right? That is a mental disorder. Okay. So like I said, with this particular interview, George Foreman shows you why he feels forever indebted to supporting a white supremacist such as Donald Trump. He says that the reason why Colin Kaepernick, and this is a coon ideology right here, the reason why people are kneeling, such as Colin Kaepernick, and people don't want to, visit Donald Trump if they're invited, such as Kevin Durant, the reason why they're doing that is because they're sore losers. You see, a coon and a white supremacist, they can't see past their own ideologies. A person that wants to get help, that acknowledges they have a problem, they can see from different facets, right? They don't have a myopic view. They have different perspectives they look at. And then they make a logical standpoint, which is what I try to attempt to do. So George Foreman sees it from his myopic view of, okay, they're just sore losers. Oh, forget about the fact that we live in a system of racism, white supremacy. We live in a system of systemic oppression where police brutality, domestic terrorism, people who are so-called police officers, but they are really suspected race soldiers that are killing unarmed black men, women, and children on a daily basis. Let's raise awareness regarding that. Let's try to raise awareness and try to start some systemic changes to make things on an equal playing field. That's what Colin Kaepernick was trying to do. Just simply raise awareness, which is actually working in a sense that you got other NFL players more who are classified as white in support of fellow black and African American players in the NFL. Well, again, we have a long way to go for that particular system to change completely, because I believe in a separatist society, completely separating from the dominant white society. But that is a whole other topic of conversation. You can check out my old videos regarding that. All right, family. But going back to George Foreman, he shows you why he is a coon. He follows the coon code logic, and why he is forever indebted to a white supremacist like Donald Trump. He talked about he was proud to visit the presidents in the past in his heyday. He talked about 1968. When he brought that up, I was like, you talked about 1968. You don't remember John Carlos and Tommy Smith, the Black Power salute? They were actually doing the same thing as Colin Kaepernick. Raising awareness for the time of civil unrest in the 1960s, where black people were being gunned down by so-called police officers, aka suspected race soldiers in that time. It was civil unrest in the 1960s, which is why at the time President Lyndon B. Johnson did so many evaluations to in towns and cities of populated areas of black people. Right? He did so many reports back in the 1960s, which I've talked about in the past. Okay? And that's the reason why he studied black people, wanted to understand their tendencies, etc., etc. And obviously, he's a known white supremacist as well. President Lyndon B. Johnson. Right? But, like I said, with George Foreman, there are many people like him, millions of people classified as black that have that same ideology. They feel forever indebted to their oppressor. This man, this white man gave me a lifeline, and I'm feel forever indebted. No matter what he does, what he says, I still owe him. And like I said, it's the same thing. It's the same thing with religion. You know, particularly Christianity, another Abrahamic religion, where black people who, in society, let's say, for instance, you have someone that's caught up in the system, you know, in drugs, violence. You know, they've been arrested numerous times. They hit rock bottom. You know, and the pattern is this: you hit rock bottom, all of a sudden you found Jesus, you found a deity, you found religion, right? And that's cool, but that pattern has always been the same. It's always been you're at the bottom, you hit rock bottom, and then all of a sudden God found you. He pulled me up out and made me better. And then after that, you feel forever indebted to the Abrahamic religion, which is known as Christianity, praising to a white Jesus. Right? Knowing the fact that the very same religion was used against you to eliminate your manipulate and control your ancestors. Knowing the fact that people classified as white completely whitewashed the Bible and gotten everything in terms of that religious ideology from the walls of ancient Kemet and African spiritual systems. Right? And also he talked about Muhammad Ali. Again, you know, these suspected white supremacist podcasters, they sound very young and they don't really understand their history at all whatsoever. But Muhammad Ali, okay, at the time is still a trailblazer. And if Muhammad Ali, who refused to go into the military, if he did that today, he would be completely crucified. All right, completely crucified. And the fact that he changed his name because of religion and joining the Nation of Islam, which is classified as a hate group according to the Southern Poverty Law Center. Yes, look it up. The Nation of Islam is classified as a hate group according to the Southern Poverty Law Center. So, again, if Muhammad Ali did what he did back in the 60s today, he would be completely crucified by the media. The most hated man in the world. Okay. And he was hated, of course, in the 60s when he did that, but it would be magnified because of social media today. So, George, you got too many hits in the head, coupled with the fact that you had mental disorders to completely omit those things that happened in the past pertaining to 1968 and what Tommy Smith and John Carlos did with the Black Power salute and what Muhammad Ali did. He transcended race and politics in America at the time by doing something nobody would have done for his stature by not enlisting in the military and changing his name to Muhammad Ali from Cassius Clay. And again, Stockholm Syndrome is what George Foreman continues to suffer from by also saying that he feels forever indebted to supporting Donald Trump because he gave him a lifeline when he faced Evander Holyfield. So there you have it, family. That's the mind of a psychopath coon such as George Foreman. All right. So anyway, family, those are my thoughts on that. Leave your comments down below about George Foreman. Let me know what you guys think about this particular interview. Let me know in the comment section, family. Until next time, make sure you follow me on social media at The Black Separatist on Instagram and Twitter. Also, check me out on theblackspot.com. All social media links will be down below in the description. And also, if you have information or anything you want to send me via snail mail, I have a P.O Box. Send me some stuff, P.O Box. I'll check it out and I'll shout you out and also show it any kind of merchandise or whatever on my video. I'll shout you guys out. All right. Anyway, family, until next time, Chauncey, a.k.a. The Black Separatist, signing out.